Steering committee lunch where we plan the Christmas trees. It's very important. I'm going to make chicken paillard, zucchini soup, and my heavenly chocolate cake.
Renee Zellweger is a little exasperated at her mother's domestic obsessions in One True Thing, one of the new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. One True Thing stars Renee Zellweger, who made such an impact in Jerry Maguire, as a hotshot writer for New York Magazine, who returns home to upstate New York, where her dad is a semi-famous professor and writer, and her mom is a Martha Stewart clone. Arriving for her dad's surprise costume birthday party, she finds her mother, played by Meryl Streep, in full sail with the preparations.
Ah! Nope, it's okay. It's okay. It's not even bleeding. It's fine.
Wrap it up.
Really fine.
Okay,
Brown paper.
there's something in it that stops the bleeding.
Thank you. It's fine. Thank you.
Really?
Okay, thanks. There you go.
Oh, dear.
Sorry.
No,
I'll get it.
That's all right. Don't throw the pieces out because I'm going to use it in my mosaic table.
Don't worry. We got
it. Keep your finger up.
She asks her father, played by William Hurt, for an opinion on her most recent piece and gets one, although he can never quite take his daughter very seriously as a writer.
Less is more. Your approach is a little over-emotional at times. It needs to be more succinct. The word choice needs to be more muscular. Helen, you've got a great talent, but it's not enough. You have to reach.
She learns that her mother has cancer, and her father asks her to take a leave of absence from her job and stay home to care for her.
What about your job and your little apartment?
Well, I'm going to work from here. So, oh, don't worry about it.
No.
Tweety said that it's fine.
Oh, no. Not to play nursemaid to me.
Oh, no, that's not.
Oh, I don't need it. Man, you'll hate me. I'll just make you some dinner.
No, I want to stay. At least until you feel better. I mean, it's the right thing.
For who?
Zellweger can never quite understand her mother, who keeps constantly, obsessively preoccupied with household tasks and volunteer work.
Ellie, this is the Minnie's busiest season. You know that. We have the Halloween festival for the kids. We have Thanksgiving, a benefit for the older people. And then we have to decorate all the Christmas trees in the town square.
One True Thing is essentially about a daughter who thinks she knows all about her parents and finds out the truth is a lot more complicated than she ever suspected. The movie is here than it needs to be, I think, but the performances are exact and perceptive, and we see how for this older couple, the more you know, the more you understand.
Certainly, the strong may be weaker than you think, and the weak may be stronger when they're really tested.
Yeah.
And the performance that I was so impressed by that isn't going to get a lot of attention as this film plays itself out is William Hurt's. First of all, he is perfectly cast as this intellectual professor and quite competent, I mean, celebrated. And the way he relates to his daughter, that to me was fascinating.
It's so interesting the way he, in the same meeting with his daughter, asks her to write an introduction to his book of essays and to do his laundry. Yeah, that says it all.
Yeah, and she is just dying for his approval and can't state it, and he has to know it. He's so smart that he has to know that, and he isn't willing to give it.
He can't do it.
Ooh, that really is rough.
It's a real
very
family.
cold, yeah. Okay, next movie, and our next film is Rush Hour, another Jackie Chan acrobatic detective picture, but this one has a couple of pleasant differences from his previous nonstop stunt work with a smile efforts such as Rumble in the Bronx. This time Chan is paired with a comic partner, Chris Tucker from TV's Def Comedy Jam. And you might expect from this casting that the script would be packed with endless riffs on soul brother, Asian brother differences. But screenwriters Jim Koof and Ross LaManna play that down in favor of some truly funny dialogue. Here's a sample as Tucker, a troublesome LAPD detective, looks upon his assignment to join Chan on a kidnapping case as an opportunity to fulfill his dream of becoming an FBI agent.
You must take me to see Consul Hut right away.
Man, just sit there and shut up. This ain't no democracy.
Yes, it is.
No, it ain't. This is the United States of James Carter now. I'm the president, I'm the emperor, I'm the king. I'm Michael Jackson, you Tito.
Here's more good writing from Koof and Ross LaManna as Chan and Tucker work on the case of recovering a Chinese diplomat's missing daughter.
It's okay. It's all right. FBI. Take a picture. It's okay. Wait a minute, wait a minute. All right. What? Get out of my way. Watch out, watch out.
Of course, it would be impossible for Rush Hour not to have a few Jackie Chan action set pieces.
Wow.
Please. I said I don't want trouble.
He's one of a kind. Rush Hour gets thumbs up from me because it delivers more than I usually get from this genre. I laughed a lot in this picture. What a pleasant surprise.
I liked it, too. I liked it as I expected to because Jackie Chan is in it, and I think Jackie Chan has a rapport with the camera and with the audience that is effortless and really nice touch. But also this Chris Tucker. Now, I liked him in Money Talks a year or two ago, and I like him again here. He's kind of in the Eddie Murphy genre, but fast-talking. Whole life is a stand-up opportunity for him, but he's very quick, very smart, and together they work. Okay, coming up later, Ben Stiller as a drug addict in Hollywood in Permanent Midnight. When we come back, Chris Christopherson and Barbara Hershey in the story of a novelist and his offbeat family.
A soldier's daughter never cries.
So I'm just saying, boys are going to be interested in you. And they're ready and willing to go all the way.
Your father isn't urging you to have sex. He's just warning you can get pregnant now. It's easier than you can imagine.
Scenes there from a very unorthodox family life. A Soldier's Daughter Never Cries begins in Paris in the 1960s when an American novelist and his wife, played by Chris Christopherson and Barbara Hershey, lead an unconventional life but make a good, if unorthodox, home for their daughter and adopted son. The story is told from the point of view of the daughter, named Shan, and played by Lily Sobieski. She goes to an offbeat school for the kids of expatriates, and her best friend is in love, crazy in love with the opera.
So Tosca runs away from them. She goes to the top of the parapet. She looks up and she says, and then she leaves.
That's Anthony Roth Costanzo in a dynamic supporting role. He steals a lot of scenes, and the whole movie is filled with the strange and colorful people who fill their lives.
Well, if the frogs try any funny business like trying to take my little boy away from us because we're American, can you believe that? I can believe it. I'll go straight to the president.
De Gaulle?
No, not de Gaulle. Ours. Get him to send troop ships.
Marcella's ready to go to war. I thought you were this big principled pacifist.
Not when it comes to my kids, I'm not. I fold.
Then the family moves back to North Carolina. The writer has heart problems, which he downplays with his children, as in this scene where she takes her dad's dictation in a hospital.
Typing's the one thing I learned in high school. It was ever any use to me. Until we can see the ship moving, thanks again. I'm glad I can still wring tears from my audience.
A Soldier's Daughter Never Cries is based on an autobiographical 1990 novel by Kaylee Jones, the daughter of the late novelist James Jones, remembered for From Here to Eternity. Like the daughter in the film, she grew up in a writer's family in Paris, and what's fascinating about this film is the way it pays attention to details. It's not some formula story about family memories. It's not a sitcom. It's a particular and quirky and loving memory of a strange but valuable childhood. The movie was directed by James Ivory, and this is one of his very best films, a movie that gives us a real sense of a father and a family that enriched the lives of their children. I think it's one of the year's best films.
Well, it's a very strong film, and of course James Jones was known for tough writing, and this girl the genetic code is working here,
Yeah.
because this is a very direct film. She'd make a good reporter in her memory, at least it's been translated on film, because these are very specific characters.
And how the man and the woman, the Barbara Hershey and Chris Christopherson, how they have a relationship with each other up here apart from the children. They're two adults who have an exciting relationship, and then they allow their children into their lives. They don't condescend to them. They level with them. There's that scene where he talks to her in the presence of her first boyfriend that's really almost shocking in its honesty.
That's hard for a child to know.
At the time.
That's impressive, you're right. Okay, coming up next, Ben Stiller plays a writer whose Hollywood dream becomes a nightmare in Permanent Midnight.
Like this Hemingway type who like sold out to Hollywood.
Just in the middle of the show, for no reason whatsoever, boom, she pops out and she starts singing, okay? I don't know what, she's doing like an Ethel Merman, oh, I love a parade.
That's Ben Stiller, so often in comedies like the current hit There's Something About Mary, who takes on his darkest role to date, a drug-addicted writer in Permanent Midnight, a film that works largely because Stiller is so good in his role as Jerry Stahl, a real-life character, a TV sitcom writer who told his story of highs and lows in a best-selling autobiography. The movie is a series of flashback scenes told by Stiller in the present day to a woman played by Maria Bello, who has picked him up. His dialogue reveals his talent for turning a phrase.
So, you get this agent, and then what?
Get a great gig, huge advance, blow all of it on dope, and cop a habit the size of Utah.
One of his recollections is of his wife, played by the beautiful Elizabeth Hurley. Their relationship is strictly a business deal
I was just
until
thinking that,
she wants more.
you know, it could really help my green card situation if we lived under the same roof. You know, I've got this spare bedroom which I never go into, which you could work in undisturbed all day.
Also entertaining is the always entertaining Janine Garofalo as a talent agent who might want to sign Jerry as a client.
This place, am I crazy? This place used to be on La Brea, because I'm driving up La Brea and it's not there anymore. And then the guy tells me that it's over here. Anyway, I'm really sorry we didn't get a chance to, to eat and,
Are you hungry? Because the chef's doing a curbside thing now. You can just pull the car up and he'll run out with an arugula shake or something.
Permanent Midnight is going to succeed or fail, of course, based on Stiller's performance. He's the movie, and I think he's excellent. Obviously, there isn't a whole lot that's new that can be brought to the role of a junkie. Jerry Stahl is a more intelligent character than the typical movie junkie, but Stiller expresses his connections to all addicts by demonstrating the powerlessness that overwhelms them in their need for drugs, drawn to them as if to a magnet. Ben Stiller, in this performance, declares himself, I think, as a major talent.
Oh, I think so, too, and I love all the performances around him, too, as it demonstrates how, with a lot of money and a lot of freedom and no supervision, because you can get away with anything if you're talented, these people do fall into drugs in Hollywood. And you know, it's a whole genre. There's Julia Phillips's book, You'll Never Have Lunch in This Town Again. Right. And there's Postcards from the Edge, the movie from a few years ago. And at Telluride, I just saw a movie called I'm Losing You. And they all tell basically the same story. Too much money, too much freedom. People will let you get away with murder if you deliver.
It's a good film.
It sure is. Next movie, Orson Welles' film Touch of Evil came out in 1958. But only this year has it been finally seen as Welles wanted it to be seen. 2 weeks ago at the Telluride Film Festival, and then last week at the Toronto Festival, audiences were shown a version of the film based on a 58-page memo by Welles, who disapproved of the way that Universal Studios recut his film, making it shorter and adding additional shots. On its 40th anniversary, the film has been re-edited as Welles wanted it. Here's a taste of the famous opening shot, which lasts for 3 minutes and 20 seconds in this new version. As Welles intended, the opening titles no longer obscure the action. They've been moved to the end of the movie. And the Henry Mancini theme song has been replaced by what Welles wanted, music and sound effects from the city street and from loudspeakers and car radios. Listen to how the soundtrack establishes the atmosphere here.
American citizens?
I am, yes.
Where were you born, miss?
Mrs.
What?
Philadelphia.
The name is Vargas. Hey, Jim! You see who's here? Sure, Mr. Vargas. Out on the trail of another dope ring?
That was Charlton Heston as a Mexican drug enforcement official and Janet Leigh as his new bride from Philadelphia. Heston squares off against Orson Welles as the corrupt sheriff on the American side of the border. Here Welles plays a visit to an old friend, a madam, played by Marlene Dietrich.
Have you forgotten your old friend?
I told you we were closed.
I'm Hank Quinlan.
I didn't recognize you. You should lay out those candy bars.
Touch of Evil is a rich picture visually, as in this scene where the camera doesn't cut as it watches the sheriff and the Mexican official argue over falsified evidence. If you're like me, you've seen Touch of Evil before and admired it for its visuals, but never been absolutely sure you understood all of the ins and outs of the plot. This new version has about 50 changes, many of them minor, but together they add up to a more coherent and involving story. And the film, of course, celebrates Wells's great visual sense as it coils through that corrupt border town where the sheriff has been nursing a private wound for 30 years. Touch of Evil opens starting this week in revival theaters around the country.
Well, it demands to be seen. You've talked about the visuals. Let's credit the cinematographer, Russell Meddy, who is considered, you know, one of the great ones. I've talked to some veteran stars over the years, and they like being photographed by him. You're right. The story is a little bit more a lot more friendly.
A lot, you know, people, you know, I've noticed over the years that people kind of avoid. They don't want to say, well, I didn't understand it,
right.
But they go, oh, yeah, well, that was kind of like, was the kid involved in the original drug ring, or was the, you know, and now you can understand it, yeah. But really, in any event, the plot is just a clothesline anyway for these images and performances.
Yeah, and in this case, less is more because it's been simplified.
Coming up next, an assortment of colorful urban dwellers fly in and out of Chicago cab.
This is good. Go up here.
We can make the light.
No, we can't.
Why do you drive your cab so slow? You are the slowest cab driver I have ever seen.
Our next movie is Chicago Cab, a play adapted for the screen. It follows a simple format. We follow a cab driver's interaction with a day full of fares. And here's one with a mature woman who engages in sexual innuendo. Paul Dillon is the cabbie, Laura White, the fare.
I'm a lawyer.
Oh, really? You're the second lawyer I've had today.
Really? Let's hope you're not too tired.
Excuse me?
More explicit sexual activity involves a couple of young advertising executives, Laurie Metcalf and Matt Roth.
Oh, hey, man, hey, what are you doing?
Turn around, driver. This really isn't any of your business.
Oh, hey. Yeah, right.
Of course, not every couple is quite that happy. Here are Gillian Anderson from The X-Files and Kevin J. O'Connor, who have just completed their Christmas shopping, but are not exactly in the holiday spirit.
You know what? I never even want to see you again. After we get out of this cab, I want you to go your way, and I don't ever want to see or smell your big, fat, ugly ass ever again.
Chicago Cab has a strong cast, as you can see, but what does it add up to? It's not quite the fractured portrait of America or the human condition that we might want it to be. I found only about a third of the passengers interesting, and that's not enough for me to give you the tip to see Chicago Cab.
Oh, I like this movie a lot, Gene. First of all, I think if all the characters had been equally interesting, it would have been a little unlikely, since occasionally you're going to get a fare who just sits back there and wants to go somewhere. But even apart from that, I think the buried theme of this movie is all embodied in the driver, played by Paul Dillon, and it's interesting how his role is written so sparsely. Everybody in the back seat is talking, and he just kind of reacts and looks at them strangely and occasionally talks to himself. I like the movie.
You found enough with him. I didn't find enough with him. I thought it was more the parade of characters.
Okay, we'll be right back after this. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 thumbs up for One True Thing, especially for the performances by Renee Zellweger, Meryl Streep, and we really liked William Hurt. 2 more affectionate thumbs up for the silliness of Jackie Chan's Rush Hour and for the edgy comic performance by Chris Tucker. 2 thumbs way up for James Ivory's A Soldier's Daughter Never Cries. I think it's one of the year's best films. 2 more thumbs up for Permanent Midnight, with Ben Stiller as a writer who lucks into a TV series but has very bad luck with drugs. 2 thumbs up for Orson Welles' Touch of Evil, finally edited in the version he asked for 40 years ago. And finally, a split vote on Chicago Cab. I enjoyed the introspective, convincing performance by Paul Dillon as a man who eavesdrops on the city's secrets. Gene, however, found only about a third of the passengers interesting.
The discovery for me, the range of Ben Stiller's talent as revealed in Permanent Midnight.
And for me, A Soldier's Daughter Never Cries. I think that's really an original and powerful picture. Remember, you can hear our reviews on the web at Siskel-Ebert.com, and the site also lists all the stations that carry our show. Next week, we'll have reviews of more new movies, including Ronin, the thriller starring Robert De Niro and Jean Reno. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.